Hip Hop for Change is so much more than I ever imagined it would be. 8 years of working with the most empowered activists, the most empowered women, the most empowered queer people. I've learned more about justice in 8 years than my entire life.
That was Hip Hop for Change founder and executive director, Khafre J. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco. In this episode, Khafre picks up where he left off in part 1. After high school, he moved up to Mendocino and started teaching kids coming out of foster homes and correctional facilities. Then he came back to San Francisco and got a job with Greenpeace doing grassroots fundraising on the streets of the city. Marrying his love of education, hip-hop, and his new knowledge of how to raise money and do direct activism at a community level, Khafre launched his nonprofit, Hip Hop for Change. 8 years later, in addition to their radio show on KPOO, the group raises money, puts on events, and directly engages with people in an effort to end white supremacy and bring control of Black and brown culture to the people. Here's Khafre.
I also learned that we were costing the city like $1 million a day protesting. That blew my mind. Mm-hmm. It blew my mind, the economics of it, you know. And a lot of people say that protest didn't do anything, but that protest changed the terminology that Americans were using. That protest is why we had Occupy, right? And Occupy is why we had Bernie Sanders, you know what I'm saying, and democratic socialism, and, you know, and all that other stuff. So, I mean, it comes from a long thing, but that sparked my activist self. Like, you know, I'm dedicating my narratives now to what pisses me off. At that point in life, I was like, why the fuck was I rapping about girls that didn't like me and when I was 16 and money I didn't have and cars I didn't even have a fucking license at 20. I was like, and all my raps were filled with cars and shit and all this. I was like, why was I rapping about that stuff? If I would have been rapping about police brutality, maybe I'd be more on point, you know, at 20. If I'd have been rapping about shit, the Navy Hunters Point shipyard, you know what I'm saying?
What you knew versus what you were aspiring.
What I was experiencing, right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Then maybe I've been able to overstand, not even just understand it, but overstand all these things that I was dealing with traumatically in my chest, you know, at an earlier age. And I don't think I had all the vocabulary to kind of contextualize that for myself then, but that's where those seeds were started. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it took me 15 years to figure out how to contextualize it for y'all today. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about those 15 years, what you were doing? That's all, just 15 years.
Just 15 whole fucking years. Yeah.
No, but you mentioned a couple times like the different places around the U.S. Yeah. Maybe outside the U.S. So did you get to the point where you're like, now I'm taking the shit on the road? Yeah,
I mean, I was rapping with Richie Cunning in School of the Arts a little bit afterwards, and he went to school, so we kind of parted ways. I started rapping with a group called B-Pos in 2004. Shout out to the homies, my man Vinny, my man D-Wiz. And Johnny Vanetti, our DJ. I started rocking with them, you know, kind of like just rapping on some of their songs and whatnot. Vinny, he's one of the most prolific networkers ever, so he was creating these tours. I wouldn't have been to 42 states rapping without him. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I went on 3 tours with them in those 15 years, really getting into my hip hop. Not only that, but the scene in the Bay Area is really familial, right? Like, it's very, there's only a degree of separation in the Bay Area anyway, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to hip hop and real hip hop community, we know everybody, you know, it's very like familial. And so, yeah, I started rapping. I started rapping at the different ciphers, different shows. I started throwing shows myself. And that whole 15-year period of me going on tours, establishing myself, meeting different people, you know, I don't know, like hip hop in the Bay is really beautiful. It's like, in reality, it's activists, educators, like teachers that teach literacy and they're rapping, school principals and shit, are artists and protesters. Like, this is what the scene that we have. It's pretty amazing too. To this day, right before the pandemic, we had ROTC, Return of the Cypher, at the historic Boom Boom Room every Sunday, where you can just go and rap and freestyle and meet everybody, get your chops up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I spent 15 years in a wildly underfunded community that was doing the most inspirational hip hop events ever. I went on tour. We weren't famous. We weren't like, in one city we rapped for 5 people and 3 of them owned the fucking spot we rapped at. We we blew the socks off of those 5 people.
I was just about to say, to be one of those 5 people.
I was like, this is the best fucking practice that we're ever going to do for these motherfuckers right here. You know what I'm saying? When we've also burnt the house down in front of thousands, you know what I'm saying? And but yeah, I think those 15 years, starting off being like, I'm going to be a famous rapper, that's my goal, to being like, oh, well, the industry doesn't really want to hear, you know, what black people really have to say. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To be like, fuck it, I'm going to throw my own shows and go on tour, being like, damn, this is really hard to go against another Planet Entertainment. And then seeing Lil Yachty's and the Uzi Verts have like thousands of little white kids from Atherton and Marin and shit, and they come out being gangsters. They get to be niggas for a night,
right?
And then they leave, and then hip hop gets indicted for all the stupidity, and black people get indicted for all the stupidity if anything happens in front of the venue.
Yeah.
But I got this wildly empowered community of people that are spitting the most important empowered narratives, and we got 20 people at our show because we don't have enough bucks to advertise. That's the progression of my mindset before I started Hip Hop for Change through those 15 years. Just trying shit. Okay, realizing that, oh, they don't want positive hip hop. Okay, we'll do it ourselves. We'll do it ourselves with that shit. Damn, I got to get higher insurance rates, you know, on my event permits.
Right.
And I can't afford that because I don't have another Planet money, but I have to pay higher because I'm hip hop than this gospel show or this rock show. And if I'm a rock and roll guy, I can wear a top hat with a cane with a knife in it. But if I'm doing hip hop, I can't even wear a fucking cap backwards. You know what I'm saying? In this venue. So just getting real frustrated, man, when it comes to my artistry in those 15 years. I got so pissed off, I started Hip Hop for Change.
Okay.
Now, in those 15 years, besides that, professionally, trying to figure out the fuck I was going to do with my life if my rap didn't work out, looked like me going to City College for 5 years, you know, and I was majoring in Western art history at first because I was coming from School of the Arts. I was going to be an art buyer, and then I was like, wait, I don't want to talk to rich white folks about, you know, chiaroscuro for the rest of my fucking life.
If I could just take their money and not have to do that.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'll be an economist because I've never met a broke economist, and then I realized my teacher was broke economist, and then I started studying psychology.
Okay.
And that
at
really,
City College?
Yeah, that really resonated with me. I spent way too long studying that until I got my AA. I spent 5 years at City College without even getting an AA. So when I went to Mendocino Junior College up north, they asked me why I had so many damn credits. So I was studying developmental psychology up there. I call it developmental psychology, although I didn't even get my BA yet. I was really focused on working with kids and the development of logic. And I worked at level group homes up there, teaching kids hip hop and how to use their laptops in GarageBand when it first came out.
Nice.
What
town was that? Sorry.
Ukiah.
In Ukiah, okay.
Yeah, I lived in Hopland, 800 people.
Shit,
yeah, I was that dude. I was the only black kid up there my age that wasn't taking football.
Right.
Yeah, because most of the kids up there come from like Florida that doesn't have any community colleges. So people be like, yeah, what position do you play? I was like, I study developmental psychology, motherfucker, and minor in ceramics. And people be like, oh, sorry. I was like, yeah, racist much?
Right.
I was like, yeah, you want me to jump? Right? I can catch a ball too, damn it. I don't play football. I don't play basketball. I skate. Right? But yeah, I was up there for a while. And that's really where, you know, working in those group homes, you know, all those kids are rapping, right? They're all trying to find their power too. I was like, I see these kids, and all the people working with those brown kids up there, because they're almost all brown and black kids. They're all country white folks who don't know shit about hood black kids, right? Right. And I was like one of 2 black people that were there, and the only dude from the hood there, you know what I'm saying, that had been to jail, that used to gangbang. And these are all kids that have failed every foster placement they've ever had or are coming directly out of corrections, right? So that was a great place for me, you know what I'm saying? I was the only counselor that didn't get punched in the face. You know?
By the kids?
Yeah, I mean, I got punched other places, but I'm really good at dodging, you know what I'm saying? Because I have my history with fighting so much.
Right.
But on top of that, those kids really trusted me because they knew I knew what they were talking about. I could see these kids, they come and they try to fake their little funk like they're real hard. And I'd be like, I know your cousin, he's a punk. All right, I know he's a punk. And I see what you're trying to do. Let me tell you where your real power lies. And they believed me because they knew that I wasn't some okie country dude that already devalued what these kids' experiences were anyway. They knew I had the exact same experiences, and I was like, bro, you are not hard.
You're the real deal.
I was like, you are actually as whack as I used to be. Let me tell you how. All right? Let me tell you where your real power is.
It's like I know you because it's me.
I was like, don't put that shit on me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm your uncle, all right? That's what it is. I'm gonna school you up. You know what I'm saying? And this is, when I grew up in Hunters Point, everybody was my uncle or my auntie. That's what we don't have anymore because so many black families got kicked out. That's what these young kids that I was working with, they didn't grow up. They didn't have that. I grew up that, you know, when you leave your house, you make black people look bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks we have to carry the entire culture on our, on our backs, but we do. Yeah. But that's why young black kids have really strong calves.
What did that do for you though, being up there and having that with the kids? Was it more than just a fulfillment, or
it was beautiful and it was difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was beautiful in the fact that I was so happy that I was able to be there for those kids. It sucked because there was extra weight on me. You know what I'm saying? I remember walking in on kids doing shit that I was supposed to send them to jail for. I was supposed to be like, you're out, I'm gonna call the cops, and they were supposed to come take them in handcuffs. And I couldn't do that. Yeah. No, you know what I'm saying? I don't mind saying it now. I hope Trinity Youth Services here that I did that shit too.
No, they're trying to deputy Karen you.
Yeah. Well,
right? Make it deputy Karen.
But I walk in, I said, what the fuck is wrong with you kids, right? I was like, are you really want to go to jail? You know what the fuck I'm supposed to do right now? And they're all frozen. Like, I caught them in their room, all four of them doing some illegal shit. And, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you kidding? And no other counselor's going to do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, no other one's going to be like, do you know how close you are on the brink of losing everything? Let me sit your ass down. Let me talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, in their face, like, what the fuck is wrong with you, little boy? You know what I'm saying? These kids need that. Yeah, yeah. And, and nobody else was able to do that, but it is a weight. You know what I'm saying? I was risking losing my job trying to be their older cousin, their uncle, or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks that we have to be in those positions, but it also was the reason why I was rapping with these kids. I was like, let's rap about some real shit. I was like, how much money do you have? Why are you rapping about millions of dollars? Like, you ain't got no girlfriend, bro. You don't even have no game. What are you rapping about women like that for? You know what I'm saying? They were like, Khafre, why you always rapping so positive? Why don't you rap some hood shit? I wrote a song called On Some Gangster Shit, right? Where I'm like, I'm gonna pretend I'm a big gangster. I wrote the hardest gangster shit ever. I'm like, there you go. And the chorus is like, you want me to be a gangster, huh? Well, that's all we listen to, dad. I'm like, okay, anybody can do that shit. Feel free. You want to rap about something that makes you really feel like Shaka Zulu? I got you. You know what I'm saying? That
rap your truth.
Yeah, right? And that was the initial experience that let me understand what hip hop pedagogy was. That was my first experience with using hip hop as a vehicle to get these kids to know, because these kids are already rapping, and I showed this kid how to use GarageBand. Now I don't even got to worry about this kid no more. All he does is make beats and rap. And now there's 3 other kids trying to make an album, in the worst circumstances in the world. And that kid's good. That's the first time I ever used hip hop as a vehicle for education. So
that's the seeds of hip hop for change, would you say? And sorry, quickly, which came first?
The chicken or the egg? No.
Exactly.
Which came first, the racism or my need to express myself?
We can keep going. No, but because I know you from KPOO, from is it Sundays 12?
KPOO.
Yes.
89.5 FM. Hip Hop for Change Radio.
So which came first, Hip Hop for Change or the radio show?
Hip Hop for Change. Okay. So I got offered the radio show because I was going to KPOO to advertise some of our first shows and events. Awesome. Matter of fact, I mean, that 15-year period allowed me to realize what hip hop was to me, to my community, and how fucked up it was that we lost the means of production, producing our culture and promoting it. It made me realize how fucked up it was for these 100 local artists who are all family to be doing this beautiful stuff, and kids 2 blocks away that are going through it don't get to hear this narrative. You know what I'm saying? They don't get to listen to Brian Nicole or Coco Payla talk about the importance of women. You know what I'm saying? And then I hear white folks saying, "Oh, hip hop's all misogynistic." I'm like, first off, fuck you. You don't know my culture. You don't think Taco Bell represents Mexican culture, right? But you think that 3 corporations owned by white men represent black people. You think that white-owned media represents us well, right?
And also, what about other like rock and roll? Hello,
God, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even for that, it's like young black kids don't even know we invented rock and disco and dubstep and techno. The only shit that white people ever invented was like Appalachian bluegrass. You know what I'm saying? Which is, I mean, you know.
It's good music.
Great. No, it's great. I mean, you know, when I do my lectures for kids in Lafayette or, you know, Sonoma State University, I'm like, dude, back when, you know, white people weren't white and they actually had connections to their ancestors who looked at the stars and danced under them and all that shit, like, you know, I say, go learn a song in your native tongue. Right? How the fuck do I expect them to understand my experience and how important it is if they don't understand what culture means?
Right.
Because my experience is culture. Yeah. That's all the fuck black people have been able to hold on to, because that's all white folks ever let us have.
And culture's food and music.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And you can't fake authenticity.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. So, you know, that 15-year experience not only allowed me to understand, you know, education is my favorite thing in the world, and it also let me understand what hip hop is and what it can be and what it could be for my community. You know, it also got me so pissed off that we don't own our shit anymore. And I, you know, through that time period looking for work, when I left Mendocino Junior College, I got down to Frisco. I was looking for a job. First thing I touched on was Greenpeace. So I started working there. I figured, you know, I'll canvas for a couple of weeks till I could find a real job. And I ended up working there for 3.5 years. I was their first black director for Greenpeace's grassroots street fundraising team.
In the city?
I ran the entire city. So back then, Greenpeace had 14 offices open nationwide. One of the canvas offices was based in San Francisco, served the greater Bay Area. I ran that for about 3 years.
Awesome.
And I cut my teeth with grassroots organizing and fundraising there. So yeah, it's really hard to take credit cards on the street when you look like this. You know what I'm saying? I'm standing downtown. Hey, let me get your credit card. And then we used to have these little pieces of paper and a crayon. We'd have to take an imprint of your card. So I had to take your card and say, you're going to get a monthly donation, and we're going to charge you. I'm going to take an imprint, and I'm going to put this piece of paper in my back pocket. Bye. Yeah. So I had to get real good at credit card objections. And I'm a hustler, you know. Fortunately, I got that from Hunter's Point, you know what I'm saying? So luckily, I was using my powers for good. You know.
But you were realizing, or you had realized, education and hip hop, and but then you're like, and we need to pay for it. Yeah,
I mean, that was the thing. As I'm working at Greenpeace, seeing how Greenpeace is this machine, right, that is kicking corporate ass, like, but there's also such a big bureaucracy that. They also almost have no soul now, you know. Not because the 400 people that are working there aren't the coolest people in the world. It's just bureaucracy, you know. So at the same time, where, you know, I'm getting bigger at Greenpeace, running that office. I'm also spinning my wheels trying to do hip hop and getting frustrated. I stopped working at Greenpeace in 2013. And I was trying to figure out what to do. And I was like, you know what? I spent all this damn time working for these folks, these white folks here who really didn't value me. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm going to invest in my hip hop again, because I was working my ass off. I wasn't even rapping at that point, because that's what tends to happen in activism.
Right.
And when I was canvassing, I would see these people on Haight Street selling their CDs on the corner. So I was kind of romanticizing it. So, you know, my last paycheck, $800, I bought a CD burner. That burned 100 stack of CDs in 30 hours, Light Scribe. And I went out and started selling my own CD on Haight Street, and I blew me away. I was making like $100 an hour.
Oh shit!
And I don't even rap for people out there. It's like I'm diametrically opposed to dancing on sidewalks for white people.
Right.
Like not fuck that.
Right.
And
was your artist name Khafre J?
Yeah. I thought about all kind of names. I'm just Khafre. You know
but you have that name. You have a great name.
Yeah. I mean, my last name is James, but I say Jay, so cool. It's all good, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, people be like, yo, let me hear you rap. I'd be like, no. They'll be like, well, how the fuck you expect me to buy your shit? I'm like, look, you saved $2,000, $4,000 to come to my city. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to spend all that money here. And none of these people who own any of these stores are even fucking from here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is your one chance to even talk to a black person from San Francisco. This is your only opportunity to make sure that some of your dollars goes 5 miles over that way in Hunter's Point, the spot that ain't on the tourist map, that you don't give two shits about until I told you about it.
Right.
So you either spend all your money with all these white folks or take a $20 chance on a black man on the sidewalk saying you should buy my hip hop. Right. And I had over a 50% success rate.
Damn.
just saying that. And people like, yeah, okay, you're right. Like, don't fucking come at me like that. You gonna save $5,000, say you can't waste $20 on a black man?
Right.
Get out of my city. You know what I'm saying?
You were educating them right there on the spot.
Play that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I learned that from Greenpeace. You know, everybody would say, I don't want to donate. I don't want to do. Oh, I'm broke. So what? You know what I'm saying? Every dollar your broke ass spends kills the world. So don't you think you should dedicate some of your broke ass dollars to saving it? You broke ass person, right? All right, like yeah, black people are. There's 250,000 black people are gonna die when the temperature of the earth raises 2 degrees. You think I care about your broke college student ass that's going to Berkeley? You privileged broke college student, and college students have the most disposable income of any demographic. Good, give me all your weed money this weekend. Fuck that. Save brown people. I learned that unapologeticness from Greenpeace. You know, you were looking at death and destruction. You're trying to tell me you broke, but you're going to be drinking beer this weekend?
Right.
Fuck that. And then when I transfer that over to advocating for myself, I get even angrier. You know what I'm saying? And then when I started Hip Hop for Change, and I'm like advocating for my culture, now I'm like, we're so unapologetic on this street. It's ridiculous.
Awesome.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful thing to be able to take this model of street team activism under a 501c3 and then use it for hip hop. It's not like we're doing anything different because we've always sold our CDs on the streets. We've always thrown fat ass shows. You know what I'm saying? We've always done all these other things. We just get ticketed for it. We get arrested for it. We get shut down for it. We get this. But they can't do that with my 501c3 status. And that's what I learned through Greenpeace. They do crazy shit like climb off buildings. I got arrested by Homeland Security. We broke into the Duke coal fire power plant in Asheville, North Carolina. Okay. I was facing a 20-year charge for it. We broke in there. I was wearing a diaper under my stuff. I hung a banner for like 8 hours, got arrested by Homeland Security.
That's Greenpeace though, right?
I can't wait to do that shit for hip hop. I can't wait to rappel off a Sony Universal building and be like, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
I just cannot wait to do that and get our activism up there. Because I saw that unapologeticness, you know, the story of Greenpeace, how they started literally putting their bodies on the machine to stop nuclear tests.
Yeah.
That's what gets people to love you. That's what gets people, you know, to want to get down for you. It's not trying to make this soft, watered ass message that's going to appeal to the most people.
Isn't that what that dude way back in the day at Berkeley said?
Mario Savio?
Put yourself on the cog.
Yeah. You have to be so pissed off. Like there becomes a point in time where the machine becomes so odious that you can't even take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to do everything you can to make it stop. You've got to put your body on the machine and make it stop. That's a bad paraphrasing.
Right. No, but that's way better than what I did.
Mario Savio's he's the man.
Totally.
And it's been a long time since Berkeley students were punching Nazis.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And being activists. And Berkeley's one of the most racist places we canvass and work. You know what I'm saying? Where people grab their babies like I'm going to eat them. And I tell them I don't eat babies. I see people, I swear to God, like, you know, I see people put their babies in fight or flight responses in front of me when I'm waving out there, hi, talk to me about race. And it's like, don't worry, I'm not going to eat your baby. You're safe. And people are like, oh, what? I'm like, yeah, you know what you did. Keep walking. But, you know, that skill set that I learned from Greenpeace mixed with hip hop culture is amazing, man. We've been able to, you know, once I had this idea, you know, I think the last straw was me getting a chance to open up for Rakim. And there's this company, they didn't pay me $100 to open up for Rakim. I actually had to borrow $20 from my mom to pay for gas to get to this damn show. And of course I'm rapping because Rakim's the god MC, but it was a company, and you know, since then, we work with them now, you know, and I'm not knocking them, but I think that they were a little myopic back then. They had the resources. They should have paid me $100, you know what I'm saying? I was so fucking pissed that when I got home, I made a video, and it's on my Facebook. It's on this first video on Hip Hop for Change. It's like, I'm going to start an organization called Hip Hop for Change, and we're going to do grassroots activism. We're going to raise our own damn money, just like Greenpeace, and we're going to throw our own fucking shows and invest in our own community. That was the idea of Hip Hop for Change in 2013 in February, and I think I stopped canvassing. I stopped selling my own CDs, and I just printed out a piece of paper. Hip Hop for Change, we're gonna save the world. You know what I'm saying? On a clipboard, and I raised $26,000 in 7 months canvassing on the sidewalk by myself. Incorporated, did the 501c3 paperwork, the 3600 California equivalent, which is longer than the IRS.
Of course, because California.
California. Made the website, did all that stuff, and raised $26,000 my first year. Before I got a coworker, And yeah, I was like, if Greenpeace can do this shit, I bet you we can do it better. I bet you, and I bet you I can treat people better. You know.
When was it that you went into KPOO?
So
you said at first to advertise
in 2014, because it wasn't until about May of 2014 until I had my first real show.
Okay.
Actually, no, it was 2013. I'm kind of blanking.
It's fine.
But I think it was the second show. A guy named Derek Keller, he had a hip hop show on Monday.
Okay.
He called me and he said, he's like, yo, man, you want to advertise your event? Because I really like what you guys are doing. I think I might have met him canvassing on the street, which is one of the good things about canvassing, because I meet everybody. Yeah. Right? I meet everybody, and it's been a great boon to us being able to have a street team under a 501c3. Nobody does that, and I can't believe nonprofits don't do this. It's like free money and employees and activism. Anyway.
And also, it's the same over here as it is in the city. They're small towns. You just get out on the street, you'll meet people. Straight up.
And I advocate grassroots fundraising for all the black and brown orgs I talk to. I'm like, number one, grassroots activism is what black and brown people have historically used in this country for all our politics, because we've always been pushed out of the main body politic. So when you look at Medgar Evers, when you look at Rosa Parks, Ida B. Wells, you look at Frederick Douglass, you look at Marcus Garvey, it's all grassroots work. That's all we ever used. We're collectivists. And I don't know too much about the Chinese Progressive Associations, but I bet you they use that shit too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I bet all collectivist cultures are just based in grassroots work. I've been learning this stuff so much, and that's what's allowed us to really not only survive but thrive, and thrive like without code switching, remaining authentic, not having to change our idea of what's needed for our kids because we're trying to placate white cis men in foundations somewhere who are supposed to tell me if my shit is good enough to be funded for brown. Fuck out of here. Anyway,
it's kind of an overused word, but I think grassroots speaks to community.
It's overused by who?
The word community is overused.
By who?
But it's true.
You know what I'm saying? It's
you're right. I
don't think it's overused by gay people.
I
don't think it's overused by women. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's overused by Negroes. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But don't you think that's that's why these groups do grassroots, because community is so strong.
I mean, when people talk about grassroots work, they talk about Ralph Nader. That's like almost like talking about Kenny G when you talk about circular breathing. You know what I'm saying? And Ralph Nader's really great, but then he didn't invent nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he might have gone door to door the first time, but he's not the first person to do door to door. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing that I try to tell people when I teach about grassroots fundraising is, like, you don't need any more than 100 fans to be good, right? To be a good rapper, to make enough money, you just need 100 fans to buy your stuff. If you get 1,000 fans a year, you can be pretty wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's it. And fans come by authenticity. Fans come when they can learn who you are. So when we created our grassroots street team, we used to say hip hop for change on our shirts. Now it says end white supremacy. I used to say, hey, talk to me about activism. Now I say, talk to a black man about white people. That's the first thing you'll hear Khafre J say when I'm canvassing. And people go like, what? And I'm like, yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah, I'm like, and I do that for two reasons. One, because if I don't, then I end up having to talk to racist white supremacists, right? If I don't say, talk to me about white supremacy, and they're like, what? I'm like, okay, you're not woke enough. Let's get out of here, right? Actually, last week I was on 4th and Hearst, and this white man was talking to one of our coworkers, Milena. She said, talk to me about white supremacy. He said, that doesn't exist. Let me tell you the real story. And I was like, Milena, don't waste your time. And he was like, no, let me tell you the real story. I said, sir, I don't really have the time to discuss with you. My job is to get support. He said, no, but I want to tell you. I said, sir, I need to get back to work. He said, well, I said, fuck you. Get the fuck away from me, old man. Bounce. And I was like, bounce, fuck out of here. And then I turned instantly and said, hey, somebody else come talk to me, right? So I swear I'm gonna give two shits. And I started talking to this other lady, and a minute later I look over and I realize he is still standing there with his mouth agape. He thought that my job was to serve him. As a lot of 65-year-old white men think, like, but you're going to get this work. And if you don't talk to me, you're still going to get activism. My activism is two things. One, raising funds for my community. Two, is to show them something they're not used to. An empowered black person that doesn't need two shits from you. I don't need nothing from them. As a matter of fact, I just need you to get the hell out of my face if you ain't going to make sure these babies know they're beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And that's the interesting thing, because Hip Hop for Change, our job is not placating or catering to the white folks and the people with resources on 4th and Hearst. Our job is to go out there and talk to the white folks or the other folks that are on our side. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And the most racist places we work are the places we get the most money. because there's a lot of white folks that are tired of white people's shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of men that are tired of women, like men's shit. You know what I'm saying? So we're only out there developing our pitch and our presence, two things. Number one, to make sure that we know how to be empowered mostly brown people, are empowered activists, standing strong in places we never feel comfortable. But secondarily, it's to make sure that they understand they're going to get this work. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to be comfortable on 4th and Hurst around me unless you're comfortable with fighting white supremacy. And my job is not to placate to them. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So.
Yeah, why would it?
You see somebody walk by with their kids, oh, I don't have time right now. I'm like, you got to model that good behavior for your children. All right? You got to make sure they actually stop for brown activists.
Right.
Oh, you can't pass a black man in 2021 wearing an white supremacy shirt in a white-ass neighborhood like this. Talk to me for 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different day and age, and we are not Greenpeace. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're not Save the Children. And that's what we've been working on for 8 years, is how to unapologetically, unabashedly stand for ourselves, stand for our community, our culture, so our young kids know how to model that right, and they know how to stand in that space. Because we're a nonprofit 501c3. We're not anti-capitalist here, right? Let's keep that straight. We're a white supremacist structured business that is allowed in the states by white supremacy to exist. But cultural work is important because it's the voice of the youth that will burn this system down, that will replace it potentially with something that is like Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, straight up. You know what I'm saying? We need replicate. We could have had replicators all fucking ready.
I was going to say they filmed some of that stuff in San Francisco. Remember?
Man.
Future San Francisco.
Yeah, right? Oh, my God. All right. But
Kirk riding the bus.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, there's one with Kirk and Spock on Muni.
Yeah, oh, my goodness. I thought you were talking about the new Picard one. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, I think the most beautiful thing about Hip Hop for Change is when I started this, I just, I was like, grassroots organizer, you can make a whole lot of money, and we're just going to throw fat-ass hip-hop shows and put our people on. Hip Hop for Change is so much more than I ever imagined it would be. 8 years of working with the most empowered activists, the most empowered women, the most empowered queer people. I've learned more about justice in 8 years than my entire life. Awesome. I've learned more about power than anything. I've learned more about delegation and leadership. I've learned so much about just being a human. You know what I'm saying? It's quite amazing. We taught 26,000 kids K through 12, half for free. We've employed over 900 activists with a street job, having 50,000 conversations a year in white neighborhoods in the Bay Area. If the pandemic didn't stop us, I'd have a second office in LA and probably be working on our third in Atlanta or New York right now. Because if Greenpeace can have 14 offices nationwide pulling in $30 million a year, I could triple that with authentic cultural work. I can triple it, and I can have 2,000 black and brown, mostly people employed nationwide, having conversations in white neighborhoods, taking that money back that was made on the backs of my people and then invested in with social interest and social capital as well over centuries, take all that shit back and bring it to the hood, and then empower a movement that can organize the force of hip hop to show these kids how powerful they are, how beautiful they are. And yeah, once you tell a kid how powerful they are, I'm like, I dare you to get in their way. So that's what we're doing here. It's just amazing. 8 years ago, I knew some of the local, big talented people like Hieroglyphics. Now I'm a member of the SF Symphony. I can go anytime I want to. Yeah, the Zellerbach Family Foundation just gave us their award for 2020. I'm a part of the Battery. I'm a resident artist of Battery. People call us to help them with social studies textbooks and shit like that. Like, it's amazing what we've been able to accomplish and where we've been able to get ourselves in 8 years. I'm in awe.
We have to wrap. I just wanted to throw one thing out. So our theme this season, we're in our 4th year, and our theme for this show is We're Still Here. And I just want to say we're so happy that you're still here too and doing what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to throw anything out to end it. We can end wherever you want to end.
I would say this, we are still here. We just got a grant 2 weeks ago that proved that we were going to survive COVID. But Black-led nonprofits, especially in cultural work, have 52% less cash on hand and 79% less savings than white nonprofits because of how philanthropy works. Less than 2% of Americans donate to any groups. And so right now I see organizations like Black Lives Matter getting hella money. Stop giving them money, please. damn stop giving BLM money. And it's not that I'm hating on them. It's just they got enough. You know, don't even worry about Hip Hop for Change. Beats, Rhymes, and Life. You know what I'm saying? In Oakland, like they're hurting. You know what I'm saying? The Morpheus Project in Oregon, I bet you they're hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many local organizations that could use a $10 monthly donation right now. Just a $5 like a Jamba Juice a week for some fucking brown kids to like know they're beautiful. So now's the time more than ever. Being broke is not an excuse. Put your money where your mouth is or shut the fuck up. It's like, get out of the way. You know what I'm saying? If you don't put your money where your mouth is, stay home and watch Netflix, right? Don't come out. I'm so sick of people loving our rhythm but not helping us with our blues, right? So that's what I say. Just get involved, hiphopforchange.org, and thank y'all.
That was Khafre J. On the next episode of Storied San Francisco, Michelle and I visit Pier 70 in the city and meet the project's creative director, Marcy Coburn. Music for the podcast was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Original photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast is our contributing producer. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 4th season, we have more than 150 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you can, subscribe, rate, and review our show so we can reach even more folks. And if you'd like to drop us an old-fashioned email, we'd love that. The address is storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.